Why, hello there. It's me, Jeremy, your favorite bald dude telling you about Standard & Strange, a store and a brand with simple rules. Sell clothes they themselves would wear, manufacture it ethically, and build it to last. From boots made in Oregon to loop wheel garments made in Japan, find all the best clothes for your wardrobe at Standard & Strange. StandardandStrange.com. Okay, it's your favorite bald boy, back with another episode. How are we all doing? I'm still recovering from dad syndrome. I don't know what the thing is. New kid-itis. Now, I keep having these weird dreams that I'm in an elevator with a big window in it. And I'm near a beach because I see the ocean, and I go up in the elevator, but there's always this huge wave coming, and I can see it as the elevator goes up, and it's coming, and I'm trying to get the doors to close so I can get up, and I do it. But the waves keep coming, and they hit so hard that it drags down the elevator, and I'm banging the glass trying to get out while it goes underwater. How's that for heavy crap, huh? What in the absolute hell is going on? Didn't expect to get that heavy, but, that's just the dream, It's a dream, and here I am. I sit before you recording a podcast. This week, we have one of my absolute favorite conversations. I'm joined by Estelle Bailey-Babenzien. She's the co-founder of Noah, along with her husband and previous guest, Brendan Babenzien. She's also a designer, a mother, and just like a creative force. We chat about her life growing up in the UK, working in the music industry, how entrepreneurship is overrated, which I agree, why she prefers designing public spaces, and the importance of scent. Yes, that's right, scent. Last but not least, we talk about using and utilizing the things we own and not just saving them for that special occasion. You know who you are. It's also me. All right, let's dive in. Here we go. What's your morning routine?
Right now we're doing like a cleanse.
Uh-oh.
We saw a kinesiologist.
Okay.
It's really great. I haven't started all the supplements yet. But it's to eliminate all the toxins and mold and candida and all the yucky stuff that gets built up inside of us, which, leads to bloating and cancers and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
So we are doing that, an elimination cleanse, and then you add things slowly back. So at the moment,
like Whole30 or
no, it's very specific to each individual's body. So like I can't really have raw vegetables. I have to have cooked vegetables. If I eat meat, it has to be early in the day. I can't have gluten or sugar or dairy. Eventually I will be able to, but It's just like cleanse everything out and take the supplements specific for me too, like natural supplements. I hate taking supplements, so I haven't even started that point yet. I've just started the actual food diet, which is eliminating the gluten, the sugar, the dairy, cooked vegetables. I'm lucky I can have nightshades. A lot of people that
can't have nightshades.
You can't.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Oh. I mean, I'll eat it. I did it last night and I was like, well, I guess I just have to get up early and just deal with whatever that is going to be.
Yeah. So we're doing that at the moment. Brendan's doing it too because he was just like, why do I feel shit every time I eat? And, he just can't have gluten.
Okay. I know we're going to talk about you, obviously.
Right.
But is that, because I feel like is it because of the engineering of food that people are more susceptible and have less of a tolerance to certain foods? Or do you think it's the evolution of our gut biome?
Both.
Okay.
I think it's totally both. I think we've been the processed food and all the non-natural stuff and the way things are processed.
Right.
It messes with our biochemistry and our enzymes, and then eventually it just sort of retrains your body to be susceptible to accepting of certain things and non-accepting of other things, and eventually your body just was like, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
And then you start having crazy reactions to it later on where you just feel like crap all the time, or tired, or you're putting on a lot of weight, or your skin's freaking out, and then ultimately diseases.
Yeah, my wife and I did Whole30 a bunch of times, but we had to create code words for us because we would get in serious fights over the withdrawal food.
So crazy.
We were like, okay, we're like, is this a Whole30 fight right now? And we're like, yeah, okay, all right, let's give 10 minutes or so, and then we'll rehash.
That is very, very conscious of you. This is Whole30 is interesting, but that's like raw juices and stuff, right?
Whole30 is no legumes, no gluten, no dairy. I think it's like no soy. A lot of it is like plant-based, and it's not necessarily raw, but it is plant-based, and it's designed to basically reduce your dependence on like carbs and it's not to lose weight. I'll say that. If someone is going to hear this and they're going to be like, no, it's not to lose weight.
Yeah.
It's more to reset your relationship with food.
Right.
Is what like people would
So
say.
this is kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
It's just very individualized, and we saw a kinesiologist.
Okay.
Do you know about kinesiology?
I don't. I was like, I'm going to pretend that I understand what you're saying.
It's very scientific. It's pretty amazing. It's all based on electromagnetic fields and our at a very cellular level.
Oh my God. Okay.
And, it's what the crazy thing is that you don't even see the practitioners. They do it through a photograph of you, and then they use a surrogate, like a third party, through the photo.
Oh,
it sounds really like mystic, but it's actually just science and physics.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of magnificent when you find someone who's good and doesn't cost a fortune, because it can be expensive. But it's incredible. Like my mum.
Where are you from, by the way?
I'm from England. I was born in Cheshire, raised in West Sussex, and then I moved to London and then to New York.
When did you move to New York?
1999.
Oh,
I've been here for half my life. I was here. I was part of a work placement year. I was part of my degree. I studied fashion at Central St. Martin's. Fashion, communication, and promotion, which is part of the BA fashion, but I produced a magazine instead of a fashion collection. So that was journalism, photography, art direction, all of those things that are involved in a magazine from A to B.
Because you're kind of like a juggernaut in the fashion accomplishments. I mean, I think a lot of people know you for Noah, for Dream Awake, for, your design. But I mean, the life you had and
it's weird because it's like I was young. I was like, oh, do I want to be a doctor or do I want to do fashion? And then,
Were you getting pressure to do either or?
Well, I was really good in science at school.
Really?
So in school, like I was getting like A+ in science. So I just felt, and I love people. So
Sure.
I felt, I should be a doctor. But then just the hours and all of that time in the hospital, I also just loved, I'm a Libra. I like beautiful things, period. And I love fashion, I love clothing. I loved interiors. I think even then at an early age, I loved interiors. I just didn't know that was an option for me. So we didn't have an interior designer. We weren't wealthy.
Sure.
We didn't even have designer furniture.
Right.
So I liked the way things were laid out, but it was so beyond that I couldn't contemplate it for a career for myself. So I was thinking fashion. I love fashion. My aunties and my mom loved fashion and clothes. It was something that was in my life and accessible to me. So that made sense. And then I ended up getting into Central St. Martin's, which was a major accomplishment.
Yeah.
And at the time in London, the fashion industry was was not diverse. It was very much.
What was the London fashion scene at the time in terms of like the designers and
it was like Alexander McQueen and just, John Galliano.
Okay. White dudes.
Incredible, but very cool, but very pretentious. Very white.
Yeah.
Tons of cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
None of the things that were in my orbit. I was definitely having fun and going out and dancing, but I wasn't taking drugs, and I wasn't from a private school, and it wasn't into that whole like
boy.
Darling and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't an old boy. I could play along with it, but it just didn't sit right with me.
Sure.
And it also felt very self-serving, and I was just like, what's the point of all of this? It's not really helping anybody. It just felt pretentious for the sake of being pretentious with no real end in sight. And I love the creativity. I mean, Alexander McQueen, John Galliano, incredible, beautiful, creative designs for sure. But the industry around it was just really self-serving.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to do something more purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I figured, well, what is my impact going to be? And I love music. And I felt, music is something that impacts people's lives. Like, as long as I'm feeling like I'm impacting people positively and contributing in a positive way, then that's what I want to work towards. And so for my year out, I managed to get myself a job here in New York doing creative development at a company called Chiba Sound.
Mm-hmm.
And the artist there, it's a small imprint label on Virgin Records, and the artist D'Angelo, and then we had Mark Ronson. And it was great. And I just got, I just managed to make it work so that my school would accept this work placement as a creative, because I was doing, fashion and this was music, but still the creative overlap and the creative development and production of all these things, they accepted it. The school said, okay, you can do that. So I moved here for a year, and it was amazing. Just being here and being in the music industry at that time was insane. And working with such genuine artist like D'Angelo, who's truly doesn't care about fame at all. He's all about the artistry. And Mark too, Mark Ronson as well. And so that was super fun in those ways. But then it was also awful in that was such a male-dominated, misogynistic environment.
Yeah. Were you aware of how much that was like affecting you at that time?
No.
Or were you like, oh, this is just kind of the norm and it sucked?
No, that was just the norm. Yeah. It's like I had my rules for myself.
Sure.
No, I wasn't planning to sleep my way to the top. I was very much like, this is me, this is my rule. But it was so much harder because ultimately it was a boys' club.
Yeah.
And the women in that boys' club were all competing against each other to get a seat at this boys' table, and had to be real bitches all the time. And eventually, like a mentor of mine and a friend, he was a friend, he was very established. Todd Moskowitz, he's a big music executive. And he was like, Estelle, I see you as somebody that wants to have a family and kids and be married. And if you look at a lot of the women at the top of this industry, especially because I started managing my own group as well. Like that's the other part. I was like, love, and I'm still really good friends with the two girls now. But we were traveling around. I was managing them, and it was interesting. But he was like, if you really, they got locked out of the country with visa stuff, and at that point, I was like, what do I do? And he's like, look, if this is a life that you want, fine. But if you want something else, he's like, this isn't for you. And I looked around, I was like, you're so right. This is not what I want for myself, for my happiness. Like, I want to be creative. I want to have an impact I want to leave the world maybe a little bit better than I found it in some way or other, but not at the sacrifice of not being able to have a family or, having to be something other than what I am to survive. So that was excellent advice because it really made me see a different perspective for that industry at that time. And this was before Time's Up and Me Too and all of this stuff, which I think has been phenomenal in changing industries. And even just women coming together now instead of like competing, they're like, oh, we can create our own table. Like, let's not even fight for seats at tables. Let's just do business together. Let's help each other up. There's plenty of work to go around. And but this is all new. Like at that time, it wasn't like that, especially in urban music industry. It was like really a thing. So that changed my perspective and my trajectory in my career. I was like, okay, I'm going back to, I was still doing a lot of art direction, but I started doing more art direction for photo shoots in fashion, rather than music, and more styling and brand creation. Because before I was like, I've always liked to create brands, but I was thinking of artists as brands and like lifestyle and the storytelling around
very ahead of, what now everybody assumes every artist is a brand. Yeah.
So that was my thing at the time and my pitch and what I wanted to contribute. But yeah, I think it's been an interesting journey to where I am now. And where I am now is probably exactly where I wanted to be when I was a 7-year-old. It just took me all this time to get here.
Well, I mean, at least you're able to have that. And it sounds like you're kind of getting everything too, because I mean, you're a mom, you're married, you have a family, and you're still able to do that. I think, from friends of mine, I can't speak from experience from this, obviously, but like the tension of wanting to be the everything mother and when the family person, but also having a career, most people feel that it doesn't really overlap. Like it's very difficult to achieve that. And I think especially in, I don't know, like Western or American society where even now, I have friends and parents and they're like, oh yeah, so she's doing this, right? The homemaking, I'm kind of air quoting that. And so it's like you let your dreams die and you try to force yourself to have these new ones, which are some sort of paternal, but at the same time you're sacrificing. It's
insane.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's enough conversations about that actually. Yes, women talk about it. But even at executive levels, people need to be talking about it, and men need to be talking about it to make space and to have understanding for what that is, and really compassion and empathy for it. And changing that dynamic, because, everything's changing now anyway. Like there's people feel more accepting of this gender fluidity, which is occurring and it's becoming the norm, which I think is going to help break down the roles at home and make those more,
that's a good point.
People at home are just, there isn't this set of rules like you're a wife, you're a mom, you have to do this, and you're the dad and you're the husband and you have to do this, this, and this. It's like, actually, there's no conditioning. Like, let's remove all of that conditioning. Yes, I understand that there's innate sensibilities, which kind of lead us towards certain roles. And I'm happy. Like, I love being a mom, and it came very natural to me, and I'm blessed, and, it was amazing. But I also love, manifesting and creating ideas and developing and contributing. And I think I want to do both. And
well, it sounds like you're doing quite the job.
I'm doing both now, but I'm like, and it's good for Sailor to see that, your daughter. Yeah, my daughter, Sailor. It's good. It's good for her to see that, mom and dad both work really hard. And we're, Brendan is super hands-on father and I'm like super hands-on mom. So we are blessed in that way, but it does also stretch us thin, because I think here in America, we're this capitalistic environment and the expectations, it's just been so toxic. So in one way, COVID was amazing in helping us slow down and rethinking everything and putting things in perspective and wondering what matters and, like really understanding what matters and what doesn't. But now things are like I never want to go back to how it was before. And I'm wondering, how do we continue our life without reverting back to like what it was before? But because it's not easy to be really present and be a good family member.
It's hard. I mean, every day I drop off my daughter to daycare and I'm walking down the hallway and I get really emotional and I start crying because I'm like, fuck, like, am I a failure because I can't stay with her and be with her all day when 10 minutes ago, and look, she's 4, so everything is a big deal. She doesn't want to wear the socks. She wants to wear an orange and a red sock. Great, right. But I was like, I am trying to achieve this dream of whatever it is that I'm doing, and I want to work hard because I want to take care of her. I want to give her, like every parent, I want to give her all the things that I didn't have, and I want to give her freedom and choice and empowerment. And I'm walking down the hall for this daycare that's I can barely afford, and it's good, but obviously it's never good enough. And I'm just like, I am like a failure. Like, I can't do this. And it always helps, especially like talking to someone like you, who, at least in my perspective, you crushed it. Everything is win-win-win. You're the parent, you're the super parent, but you also have this career, and everybody knows you for that. But being able to do both, I think people totally forget the internal sacrifice and debate that's made over every decision of, like you were saying, like being present for your kid. So just sitting there and either coloring together, where I have to take my phone now and I just put it in another room, because otherwise, and it's happened too, where my daughter's like, Dad, can you put your phone away?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
I know. Sailor says the same thing to Brendan and I. And it's tricky because sometimes we're on our phone just reading the news.
Sure. Yeah.
Or whatever, but it seems like your attention is just into that device and not where it needs to be. But there's only so much, time is the ultimate luxury. And there's only so much time in the day. And then how we manage that time is that is the secret sauce. It's and that's the balance. I'm trying to figure that out. And actually, I was just having this conversation yesterday with a friend, Nikki. She's in fashion as well. She's a fashion editor. And she's a Black woman. And, there's no secret that people of color are suddenly hot and fashionable. And everyone's trying to make up for their lack of, giving opportunities to people of color. And there's been an awakening. So now those of us that are out, they've been working so hard for so long, suddenly we're getting so many opportunities. And there's this moment where it's like, okay, we want to take advantage of these opportunities, but actually we don't have the bandwidth. And it's so stressful. And anyone, I think, who's just working super hard, we've really got to consider our bandwidth and our quality of life, especially like entrepreneurs. Like I have 2 businesses, and it's like having 2 babies. I think entrepreneurship is so overrated. It's like, it's not, I mean, it takes a lot and not everybody's cut out for it. And people think that they want it. And actually, I think, having a job, you could be a maitre d' or a waiter at a fantastic restaurant for 30 years, making good money, have a simple life, and you go home and you work on your hobbies, you spend time with your kids. You don't have to think about anything else except living life and enjoying life within your parameters of what you can afford. You can, as long as you can cover your life and not feel stressed or sick, that is happiness. That freedom of that mental space, being able to just focus on the stuff that you love and not have to worry about a staff of like 40 people. And there's just so much beauty in that. And I'm like really like learning that now, because I feel like there's all this pressure to be an entrepreneur. And I'm like, whoa, actually, that's not the secret to happiness or success. Success is quality time and happiness. That's what success. And if your business is taking all of that away from you, are you really successful? I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, I always think about, I have some friends that are Japanese, and obviously, for them and the work ethic is produce and constantly work. But a friend of mine, he used to work for Takahiro Miyashita in like Number 9, and he was trying to help him like expand. And he was like, hey, here's all the stuff that we're going to do to like grow The Soloist, and we're going to do this, and then next year we're going to be in these stores, and we're going to do this, and he sat there, and his English isn't great, but my friend's Japanese is pretty good. And his response was, why? And he was like, oh shit. Because he was just like, what, why? Like, I'm fine now. I'm making enough stuff now. I don't need 50 other stores. I don't need these other things. He's like, I get it. But he's just like, explain to me why I should do that. And my buddy that was talking to him, he was like, I didn't have a good answer. Because he was like, I'm happy. I'm living the life I want to live. I'm making my art. I'm getting to have this. I don't need to be in all of these things for your happiness. Right.
And he's found that sweet spot where he can survive in that space.
Exactly.
And that's lucky. And that's great. And I feel like there's certain areas and jobs and brands and stuff that just exist right there where it's manageable. They've found the right balance. I mean, we're trying to figure out what that balance is. I think one of the important things
with Noah, you're referring to?
Yeah, with Noah. And even with Dream Awake now, because in the projects that I take on, less is more, actually. Just bigger projects which are maybe financially bigger, but more focused and take longer time, rather than lots of smaller projects which require way more management. Right. That, and just understanding what that means. Because just the management of everything, it even takes the creativity away. So now I'm finally finding a great management team and operations and finance to support, so I can just focus more on the creative side. But, it's all very challenging. But what I was going back to what I was saying in my conversation last night, and I think just generally a rule for life is just having a vision of what you want, and then having the faith that will come into being. So even now, like worrying about taking opportunities, and these opportunities aren't going to last forever. Like we're not always going to, we've got to strike.
You have to say yes to everything. It may never happen.
Yeah, and like strike while the iron's hot, and like we got to do this. Especially like for Black people, we're doing this now. We've got to we got to build and grow and help each other and take all the opportunities. But then you're stretching yourself so thin, you're not necessarily so like happy, and maybe it's just time to slow down, take on less, and have that faith that actually it's okay. That these opportunities are always going to come. Like if you're rooted in a good place, no matter, who you are or where you come from, if you're rooted in like good intention, if you have a vision, and then it's that faith, that understanding that it's like the seeds of growth, that trust that things will manifest around to develop that. It gives you this sense of peace and just confidence. So
I don't think I have the faith.
Right. And that's the key.
Yeah.
It is, because that takes away a lot of the stress.
Yeah.
In that you feeling like, okay, we've constantly got to be on the move, looking for the next gig. Like, where's the next check coming from? Or,
yes.
And like your expenses get bigger and and everything. It's like a constant flow of, people are suffering so badly from anxiety. I'm blessed. I don't suffer from anxiety. It's like a normal state, I think. Because it's good, because Brendan's the anxious one in our family, and I'm just like, okay, fine. What are you worried about? It's fine. But thankfully we have that balance. But yeah, it's just remembering to have that faith. It's like, okay, we can't take this on right now. I don't have to take it all on. We just need to slow it down, and manage what we can in an excellent way rather than trying to do too much and like compromising the quality.
Yeah, I think too, and especially in something obviously I can't relate to where you're also, like you were saying, like you're getting this windfall of additional things of people that are trying to be, oh, you're right, we do, we were neglecting, like Black women and all these things. And so it's like having that in front of you, like knowing that it will keep coming. I mean, that's.
Well, hoping that it's not a trend.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, oh, that's what people are onto right now.
Right.
And then are they going to just revert back to the old ways?
Be the diverse box or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, yeah, we got somebody Black to do this job. Okay, great. We did our thing. And now let's just go back to our inner circle of friends to do everything. But so that is like the concern.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, so there is this responsibility amongst Black women to kind of keep it going and make sure that it's not just like a cultural or a social trend.
Mm-hmm.
So we are like, okay, while we're here, we need to it's about creating opportunities for those that are coming after us too, like working together, but then keeping in that, bringing those around us along with us and the younger generation along with us. And so it's like there's this pressure at the moment to sort of fulfill that. And keep up that communication and that awareness that we're here, that we exist, that we're talented, and we have something to contribute. And
your work also speaks for itself. I mean,
right.
the store we're in, the other projects you've been a part of, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's very beautiful stuff. This isn't, I mean, it more than stands on its own.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. It's like I feel like I don't even I'm just going along and creating. And when I get certain accolades or positive attention for work and stuff that I've done, I'm like, oh, really? Oh, okay, cool. I guess it is okay. Because, you look at yourself and what you're achieving and you're always wanting to evolve and do better.
Yeah.
And like, you look at other people's work, you're like, oh my God, they're so amazing. They're brilliant. I'm just like so little compared to them. But I guess it's about just enjoying the process and keep going. And
yeah.
It's been fun. Like now I'm stepping into my power. Into my acceptance of, actually, I'm just naturally, this is what I'm supposed to do. It feels good. I feel confident about it. I feel confident about my choices.
Right.
And it feels good to just not second guess everything anymore and just be, understand it's just something that's innate and I need to keep on feeding this talent and this skill and learning and evolving, but feeling more confident about it. It's nice to get that affirmation from people that I trust and respect, and they're like, this is good. I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to keep on doing it.
Do you reward yourself for that? Like, or you just, you're unaware of your success because you're just heads down? I'm
not even just heads down. I'm not that person who wants to be in the limelight so much or needs to be like, I don't thrive from attention. That's not what kind of serves me. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Like my daughter, she's an Aries. She's a total performer. And it's just in her. And I'm like, okay, this is who she is. And we need to honor that. And she loves it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just different to what I am and what Brendan is actually. We're like more behind the scenes people. So yeah, I don't know. It's nice that people appreciate what's been done and like it. And I like to see people enjoying the space. But it doesn't serve me actually at all. I think maybe what serves me is more just seeing something for myself. I'm like, oh, I like the way this looks. This is beautiful. I just like to be in spaces that feel comforting and beautiful. And that's what gives me the motivation just to keep going.
On the interiors, like who are some of the people that you were looking to that, inspired you? Was it artists? Was it, that were within the industry or outside or?
In the same way as that, I'm not really like looking for that attention.
Right.
I'm not even really looking necessarily to others so much. It's more like images or experiences or travel or.
Right.
Yeah.
It's now time for advice from Jeremy, courtesy of our sponsor, Standard & Strange. This is a word-for-word email I received. Yo, JK, what up? I'm not sure if you're a shorts dude, but are there shorts you'd wear to get a fit off? Wow. First off, hey dude, I'm good. And yes, I am a shorts dude, and yes, I would wear them to get a fit off. You already know where I'm going to point you to. The folks at Standard & Strange. They're my go-to retailer for denim, boots, and workwear, and I mean, they have the best of everything. And they're good people, so look no further than the Real McCoy's Climber Shorts from Standard & Strange. Based on climbing shorts from the 1970s, they're made from a lightweight 100% cotton twill that the Real McCoys have finished with a garment over-dye, so they look worn in, not out. Like all dope things, they're made in Japan and ready for your fit pick, my man. To learn more, visit standardandstrange.com. Tell them your boy Jer Bear sent you, and you're ready to own fewer and better things. That's standardandstrange.com. Oh, tag me in the fit pick, okay? JK out. It's wedding season, it's slick look season, it's feel good about yourself season, whatever season it is, you're ready for your elegant yet casual wardrobe. But you're busy. You're like me. You're running a podcast. You're burning the candle at both ends. You're arguing about the latest streaming show with your friend. Hot take, that new Star Wars show is just, okay. You're too busy. But you know you need to go to Proper Cloth for your new custom gear. Time to get yourself measured for a new shirt, pants, and a jacket. But by the time you're there, you ran out of time. So enter the HTO setup from Proper Cloth. That's home try-on. It's super simple. Select the 2 sizes you expect will fit you best. For example, you typically wear a size 32 chino, but a 32 feels a little too tight. Order the Chino HTO kit in size 32 and 34. Place your order. Your kit arrives in a few days after a small deposit. Then you meet with a team member virtually at a time that works best for you. You try on the garments, discussing where each item fits perfectly, where they're loose, too tight, and while on the call, a custom size is created just for you. Then simply return your HTO kit and the packaging it arrived in. Now your custom size is created. Order any of your styles and your personal fit, and once you receive your first custom-made product, you're still eligible for a complimentary alteration and remake to dial in that fit. It's easy and simple and always backed by Proper Cloth's perfect fit guarantee, which means they'll remake your first order completely free of charge with the adjustments required. Additionally, their return policy allows for anything to be returned within 90 days purchase for a full refund. This is how you buy custom clothes in 2022, fam, and it's all from Proper Cloth. So visit propercloth.com to learn more. Start your process now at propercloth.com.
Travel experiences or going to beautiful places that are, and I don't even know who the designer is. I'm not a historian and I'm not great at that stuff. I'm really terrible at remembering names and this and that. It's just much more kind of like a journey, a creative journey instinctually of what I'm feeling.
Right.
And now, after all of these years, I'm like, I realize that what I like 2 years ago and I've been really into is that what is coming out and is fashionable now. So that's another indicator. That's another indicator as like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. And that's not just with interiors. That's just almost with like, art directing photo shoots or a mood of what something should feel like and look like. So that gives me the confidence of like, okay, I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, because I feel like I'm always a little bit ahead of the curve with trends of what's coming. And that's not just interiors. That's like also a little bit with style and fashion.
Yeah.
Friends always tend to like not copy, but like are inspired by choices I've made and then do them. And I'm like, oh yeah, I was like, this is a big trend now. I was into that like 2-3 years ago. And then by the time it's like a trend, I'm like, I don't like it anymore. Like if I see one more boucle couch, I'm going to like throw up in my mouth. I can't even deal.
Yeah, it is interesting, especially with, from my perspective of clothes, right? And like when you think of the early aughts in kind of the trickle down effect of like trends where people were really into like selvage denim and workwear. And at the time, I was living in New York, but then I would go to St. Louis, once or twice a year. And I would see like other friends, and they were like, oh, I just got into Red Wing boots, or I just got into this. And I was like, oh man, like that was like so long ago. But like with, with clothes, it's a couple of years or so. But I feel like, with design, like furniture design, you see it big time. Like there's, what are they, like Togo couches? Mm-hmm. Why is everybody obsessed with Togo couches?
I mean, this is a big thing right now. It's like, it's an icon that's come back for its like round 2 of being on the center stage.
Yeah.
And I guess it's, there's things that are just good in life, period, like good music, bad music. And I don't know who the guards are of what's good and what's not. It's kind of, that's also up to interpretation and debate. But, that's like that nuance of what makes something kind of good and original or not. Like that's such an original design.
It is. That's true.
And it's unique. It's special. And I actually don't know the origins of the inspiration for it. Maybe there was a Togo couch before there was a Togo couch. That was
possible.
He was inspired by. Who knows? But it's very unique. And I guess we're just more into that shape and those curves and this kind of like unique silhouette of it. It's like a thing. It's just come back around just to be like a thing, whether you think it's ugly or not. It's like that's a thing right now. And I think that's what happens a lot with special pieces. The same is like this chair over here.
Yeah.
See, I'm so bad. I can't even remember the designer, but it's a designer chair.
Yeah.
But it's kind of at one point I would have thought that it's so ugly. And now at the moment I'm into it.
I mean, well, it's beautiful. And it also, at least now my knowledge is very little. So forgive me. But like the contrast of that in this room, there's a lot of wood tones in the room. Yeah. And then you have like, the chrome or the, stainless steel, whatever.
Yeah. With the wicker. I like the contrast of the shiny chrome with that wicker design. Is like really interesting. It's like so modern. And then the curves, a little retro, but at the same time contemporary, because curves are very, very contemporary right now, very modern. Yeah.
Like that's a thing that I feel that especially people like you are able to do when like you're designing like ambience, right? Like, I mean,
ambience, that's what it is.
Yeah. Because there is, I mean, all of these pieces on their own are beautiful and they stand on their own and they're great, but the whole thing together. And that's a thing that, I used to be upset by, and now I'm like, oh, it's okay. That's not your skill set. Just get over it. And to where I'm like, man, being able to see how everything fits in the room and then what it creates. Because like the lighting in this room, we're in the Noah store, by the way. The lighting in this room is insanely good throughout, this entire conversation. The way that you have the blinds, the contrast color of the blinds, the way that the light creeps in, like every angle in this area is good and light. And also, the smell in here.
Where we have our Noah incense.
Is that what it is?
It's the Noah incense that we developed in Japan. It's a good one. Yeah. And then also we have the candle, the Noah candle, which we also developed. It became classic. Yeah. It's really good.
I'm obsessed with scent.
Like, you are? Have you smelled those? Yeah. They're incredible, the perfumes.
There's the Essenzialmente Laura. It was like this woman named like Laura Bonatti, who she designs the scents for the Vatican. And she's got this place out in Rome. I can't take credit for discovering her. Patrick Johnson of P. Johnson like turned me on to her. And like I'll order her, her diffuser, rods and all this. Yeah, and like that's the thing. No matter what my socioeconomic status is in the world, I will spend any and everything I can on scent.
And that's so important. It's like that experience that you get from the scent, that happiness is like so valuable to your everyday life and to your mental health.
I'm serious. It really is. Like I used to travel. Okay, I'm not trying to like make fun of Aesop, but like I love Aesop, but like it's like the status symbol now. But I would have the little ginger flight therapy roll. Do you remember this thing? Like Aesop made this little vial that had a little plastic ball in it, and you'd rub it on your like palms, and it would like make you feel good when you were traveling. I'd have to travel to London like maybe like 4 or 5 times a year, and I would always get scared because I'm a clown, and I was and so I would fly Virgin, and I would get on the upstairs in coach of the double decker,
so fun,
where I could get and I'd have my little ginger flight therapy thing, and that would like keep me sane for the 6.5, 7 hours on there. But like scent is one of those. It's an invisible thing that is so powerful and can be so transformative. And I think people underestimate the power of the senses and those things, and those things are really important to me in creating design. But I like to design public spaces more than probably residential, just because I do have a couple of great residential projects, but more and more I'm just like, I just want to do retail, hospitality, hotels, restaurants, because it's really fun to create an environment that can be experienced in many different ways and be changing and experienced differently by different people. But the scent, the music, the obviously the
textures and the touch and the feel, all of those things are all sort of come into this dance to create this experience, which is super important. But yeah, like I think design often is so not underrated, but just people don't know why they like something or why they love something because they can't identify like all the nuances and like layers. Like you said, you know, even something as rudimentary as like a coffee mug. The other day I was like looking for mugs and I do love ceramics, but a friend of mine, Teresa, and she's a designer at Dream Awake too, actually. Mugs are really great. And they was like, she's like, I was like, I saw these mugs that I like, but they're $60 each. And I just got to get my head around spending $60 on a set each mug because I need a few of them.
You got to text a friend to get the cosign. I get it.
Yeah, and she was just like, Estelle, she's like, that's good. Is it handmade? I'm like, yeah. I was like, but these are just like everyday mugs that for the house. She's like, well, that's the point. You're using it every day. The amount of pleasure that you're going to get from this item, that every time you pick it up and use it, you're going to enjoy it because you love it. So it's so worth it. Like, don't spend the money on something you're going to put in a cupboard. And I forgot that's actually like a metaphor for life that I try to do. Like, I remember my mom when growing up, she's always conservative with money and saving. Oh, you can't afford that. You can't afford that. And I hated that. And I was like, I'm going to when I started getting into meditation and understanding manifestation and all those how powerful your mind is, I'm like, we can't think broke. We can't think that we can't be scrimping and saving, and that can't be our existence. It's like, if you have champagne in the fridge, drink it. There's going to be more champagne coming. You know, like, don't save it. If you've got a really nice dress, wear it to drop off your kid. It's okay. Utilize and use the things that you love and beautiful, and take the enjoyment out of it because you only live once. Tomorrow is not promised. And so with this mug now, so I bought the expensive mug, and every time I'm like drinking from, make my matcha in the morning at home or the coffee or a latte, I'm just like, I really enjoy that moment and holding this object of design. And it gives me that pleasure, the same sort of pleasure that you were saying that you take on the flight when you roll on the scent. And that is quality of life.
It's true. It's true. I appreciate this. I feel validated here. Because, it's funny you mentioned the clothes thing, because I'm the king of, I'll buy clothes, I'll get some really nice stuff that I cared a lot about, and I get it and I hang it up in my closet, and I'm like, okay. And I walk away because I'm too much of a coward to like embrace like just wearing it and what's going to happen if I wear it. Like, I would even, this is so embarrassing, but I'll admit this, I would get bespoke trousers made, and then I would get those trousers copied by a different person so I could wear those and not mess up the bespoke ones. I'm just telling you the truth.
I know, but I think that's the mentality of most people, and we're all guilty of it in some shape or form.
Yeah.
Because, and it's good to sort of understand some boundaries and limitations and be a little conservative and save some stuff, because let's be realistic. It's like, how often are you going to spend thousands of dollars on a suit? And you don't want to, but at the same time, that suit's going to last you a really long time. And again, it goes back to that faith that there's going to be more suits. There's going to be more suits coming your way. If that's what you love and you like them, they're going to come to you because you're thinking about it and you want it. And through some way or another, they will come to you. Trust me. Whether you buy them, whether there's a gifted to them, whether you consult with a suit, something's going to happen. I just think, and tomorrow isn't promised. So we do need to enjoy the moment and enjoy these things today. Yeah.
Do you feel like, especially after talking with you, do you feel like sometimes your calling is more in the almost like empowerment and inspiration of others than even your design? Like, your designs are great. Like, I'm not belittling it, but like, you're very good at this too.
I do. And sometimes it's really weird. Like, I have downloads, and it sounds a little bit weird, but I have like spiritual downloads sometimes where I'm with other people. And sometimes it's like with people I barely even know. And it's almost like I've just have this message for them. And it's a little weird. And we'll talk about their life and their career. And I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. You should be doing this and we're doing that. And, blah, and I'm kind of giving them a whole bunch of unsolicited advice. And they're like, wow, thank you for seeing me. And it's like been a bit of an awakening for them somewhat.
Oh, man.
And it's weird because it's like, it's not even really, it's not about me. It's not even like fully coming from me. Yeah, I guess my experience in life and the highs and lows and I am spiritual. I'm not religious, but I definitely believe in the omnipresent and what that means. And so that's kind of been interesting. And it's just happened so much now that I'm like, okay, I guess it's just something that's part of me that can happen. And I would like to embrace that a little bit more. Maybe even in teaching. as I get older.
I definitely think the teaching or whatever that looks like, as you evolve, and more because, I mean, we've barely talked an hour and I'm like, this is like a counseling session. I feel like I have to pay you after we're done. Okay. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's, and I don't know, I think maybe some of it's just the vulnerability that you also like are sharing. But I mean, especially now, I mean, that's even the whole point of this podcast too, where it's like anyone gets into, they're going to go and immediately start looking that person up. And so all of the other things that you've touched and been a part of over your life and career, if it's digital and it's accessible, those people will use that to kind of like learn more about you.
Right.
But the almost firsthand discussion between your experiences and your perspective on that. I mean, I think that speaks more than any beautiful room you can create.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a journey. I am now proudly 44, but age doesn't really mean anything. I'm kind of grateful I feel like I'm a late bloomer, and I still have a lot more blooming to do. And I'm grateful for that, because I think sometimes when you become successful or you peak too soon, then your whole, you're not mature enough to really understand, like to maintain it. And it becomes all of this pressure now to maintain like this success. And then that can like drive you a little bit crazy. Whereas now I'm like, I have more of a comfortable, like steadfast grounding where I have more of this faith where it's like, it's just this journey and I can pace things out and I can really I've spent time developing the skill set. Like I know what I'm good at because I've had these experiences and I can just trust in that. I think it's like not have this pressure to maintain something or keep up with the Joneses or all of that stuff. It's just different. So, but yeah, it's like enjoying this long journey of life and where we're going to, what we're comfortable with and understanding what happiness is and what it's not. Yeah.
Has that given you like empathy for your parents? Because I feel like as I've gotten older, there was a lot of stuff that I would be frustrated about from my upbringing or my parents, and seeing all the different things that, one, they had no idea what they were doing, but like seeing that like, oh, okay, they were this age when this was happening. I'm like, oh man, I think I might have been a little hard on them.
Yeah, like our parents are just, my mum passed away, unfortunately, in 2020. In fact, I'm an orphan now. All my parent figures, my stepdad, my biological father, my dad, who I consider my dad, they're all gone. And my mum, unfortunately, passed away in 2020, which was a really, it was the final thing of like, and my grandparents, who I loved so much, they're gone too. My grandmother passed away a couple of years before my mom. So now suddenly I am like alone in this world somewhat, in terms of I'm the grown up.
Right.
And not having that foundational, like unconditional love of what it means to be a parent that you're just so dependent on. You don't even know you're dependent on it. You're just there. You just, and then suddenly that's removed and you're like, I didn't even know how much this was my rock that I was standing on, because you've just had it since birth. So you don't know any different. And then suddenly that's removed and nothing prepares you for that, because you don't know what it's like to not have it. You've never not had it. And even for, we all have crazy relationships with our parents and grievances and stuff. But for those of us that, even if you have a strained relationship, as a parent, you're a parent now, you know that you love, no matter what, unconditionally your kid. And I feel like most parents do. They just have all their other issues that they project on their parents, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, it's an issue. But I've lost track of your question. I mean, yes, I definitely have empathy for, especially now in losing my parents, like what they went through and what they gave me, and all the gratitude for what they did. They did what they could in their own way. And my mom was battling a lot of things, and I regret not. I mean, I made peace at the end.
Sure, that's
we
good.
were always very close, and
that's great.
But we would butt heads a lot, and I felt like towards the end I was more the parent, just because that's nature, right? We evolve. It's like the natural progression of things. We're supposed to evolve past our parents. That's like life. But then we sort of like resent them for it and like get mad at them because like, and it's like, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should just be like, okay, this is normal. And that relationship changes as we get older, and when we've got something to offer our parents, and do that come from a place of love and acceptance and caring, and being like, this is life. We're evolving on, and not be so impatient with our parents and more empathetic to all the issues.
Yeah. Jeez.
I know that gets like super deep.
No, I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, you're right. And I mean, it's definitely something I think about, especially like seeing my daughter who's like being rebellious, but also seeing what she loves and she loves to color. Like I'm like any parent always says that their kid's like good at something when maybe their kid sucks at it. Like my kid is actually like good at drawing. Like I really,
Amazing.
yeah, she like draws unicorns and like she drew me a picture and she's like, "This is you, Daddy." And she like draws little like dots on my head where I'm
cute.
bald.
So she's really creative.
Yeah, and it's just the greatest thing ever. But it's also, when you see like her like rebelliousness or whatever, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why?
I mean, it's insane. And it's kind of like we have this responsibility. Like when people say, "Oh, mini me's," I'm like, I hate that. I'm like, no, she's not.
Mini me.
This is not the mini me. I don't want her to be. She wanted her to be. I'm trying to be as open minded as possible to allow her to be truly her. And she's very different to Brendan and I, and it's really cool. And I want to find the right way to educate her and help her blossom in her true. Like I said, she's really into dance and performance, and I don't want to push her in any direction based on my upbringing or based on my beliefs of, I'm like, yeah, you need to be able to read and do math, but actually a lot of what old ways don't serve us at all. In fact, they're not, this doesn't work for a conscious society. So we're trying to rethink things. And even our approach to parenting. As long as you've got respect and you have manners, I think that's really important. Like, I don't play with that. You need to be respectful and have your manners and be able to read and write. And then do you. Like, it's been fun. It's a fun experiment.
That's beautiful. That's really great.
Yeah.
Well, Estelle, thank you so much for this. I know your time is valuable, and we got to go in a minute. Before we do, this is a series of random questions. Answer that immediately, whatever comes to your head. There's no wrong answer.
Okay.
If you had to make a YouTube how-to video, what would it be?
A YouTube how-to video would be how to control your mind and manifest.
Shit. Okay.
It would probably be had to be a series or a long one, but that's what I could try to do, because most of people can't even sit still for 5 minutes, let alone quieten their thoughts for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. And it's like, how can you control your life if you can't even control your mind? There's a skill to it, and it just takes practice. Everyone can do it, but it takes repetition and practice.
Wow. Okay, that being said, what is your sort of fortress of solitude? Forgive the Superman reference. Fortress
of solitude.
Basically, like, where do you go to like recharge, or what do you do? To control your mind, per se.
It's really nice just to, I love the ocean. I love water. So just be by water is really nice. Or just in nature, in a garden, in nature, just sitting quietly.
So sitting quietly is no phones. This is
no phones, just like sitting and resting my mind in nature.
Okay. What is a movie, a book, or an album that when somebody mentions, you feel they understand you?
Oh my God. Wow. I don't know. There's just so many. Like, I love like some of the movies that I've seen throughout my life that I love are like Heat and Life is Beautiful and Pretty Woman and like some like
polar extremes all over there.
Exactly. They're like extremes.
Yeah.
I know. So it's like, these are movies that I've watched and I was like, oh, I really like them, and I don't like to watch movies over and over again like my husband does, but those are movies that I can easy and enjoy watching a few times. And then albums, like I love like Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, Jill
Classic.
Scott, her first album I loved, Outkast, like Aquemini.
Oh wow.
I don't know, this is and actually those are all kind of one genre, but my musical taste is all over the place too, so there isn't really one thing. I haven't identified one thing that just is like, that's me yet.
That's good. Wow. And then last thing, from someone who's a designer and you're around a lot of other creative people, what is one thing that, like, say you go to someone's home and you see it in their house, what would that thing be that makes you be like, oh, this person, they know what they're doing. They like design.
Often it's like the small little things. Like,
so it's not like an Eames Lounge sort of thing. It's
no, I mean, because they're like the obvious things that you can go and get the lounge chair and you're like, okay,
Touché.
that looks cool.
Yeah.
And it does.
Sure.
And it's like nice to have that. But then it's like the quality, it's like found things, the quality of some of those things that you might find on travels, or do you have the appreciation for a spoon that wooden spoon, where is it from? Like, is it your your basics, or are you taking the time to kind of buy the quality or the slightly more, it doesn't have to be expensive even, but something, maybe it's handcrafted or like the designed version of the basic stuff, even the small little things. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about the status soap earlier, and now there's a new status soap and all that kind of stuff, which is a thing.
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting thing. It's like those people that care about how the mundane things look, like the soap, like you care about not just how it smells, but how it looks on the side of the sink.
Yeah, right?
That's, I think, where Aesop killed it, because they're just like, it looks great. It smells, I mean, honestly, their smell is phenomenal. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. It's just, you can't, even though it's still a great smell. No matter, even if we're bored of it, we can't deny that it's just...
The Resurrection hand soap, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's crazy.
But yeah, it's like those small kind of like mundane, like even the coffee mug that I was talking about. It's like taking the attention to invest time into finding the right design of these small little everyday things.
Oh, very interesting answer. Wow. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It was
Thanks, Jeremy.
a huge pleasure to chat with you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. All right, we'll do this again soon.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
All right, that's it for this week's show. Our show is produced by Blamo Media. We're edited by Amar Lal, and our theme music, as always, by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. You know, that mysterious individual, wherever they are, making tunes for everybody. If you like what you heard, though, you know the drill. Share the pod with a friend. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Do all the stuff you do when you like things. Tell people about it. Follow us on Instagram for all the hot content. And if you want to talk to us and give us your hot take, we'd love to hear from you. By the way, you guys lit up the phone lines the other day, which I think is kind of cool. If you want, leave a message. We're going to put it in a future episode, or just email us like, normal people. And you can email us at info@blamopod.com. Last but not least, if you want to hang with us and join the Blam fam, you can visit patreon.com/Blamo, where we have tons of exclusive episodes. Now we have exclusive shows and our amazing Slack community. All right, that's it from me. Be safe out there. Stay cool. See ya.